Hello, hello. This is Chris Park from Arkin Games, and this time we're actually going to show some gameplay. And even more so than that, this is um, really probably the first version that a lot of you would be interested in actually just playing. We still have more to polish and everything, but we are getting there. This is our main menu, as you can see, which is quite cool. I've got the game sized to a weird configuration here, very square, specifically so that can see some stuff that Keith wrote up. I'm playing basically tag team. uh, it's a save game that he started. I have never touched this one before, and we'll see what happens to me. This test combat one is the one that he's got. So we start out paused here, and obviously bear in mind that the HUD, the GUI, is all stuff that we are in progress on updating the visuals for in particular. So if you care about that, then wait another few weeks. But gameplay wise and visually, there's a lot to show off in this version. So let's take a look here. So this is Xiphos, and you can see that my arc is there. This is the Arc 1 style. One thing you can notice, we've got a whole new camera system, which is nice. You can go really far on down now, and you can view the ships, and I mean, these bombers are tiny. Now, one of the things that's worth noting is that uh, we have scaled up the size of these individual ships, the little tiny ones. So they're now roughly 3 times the size they used to be. Even still, though, the camera is something that lets you zoom in a lot more now, so you can actually see quite detailed views if you want to. Now I'm messing all about here with where I'm zooming, but I think this one has not been rejiggered yet, the missile corvettes. Um, but Blue has been painting all of these ships, and Pippi Solo and his brother Golden Wolf have been integrating them into the game. And we've got a shield starship over here. As you notice, he picked Mark 1 shield starship as one of his first unlocks. Your actual arc no longer gives a shield as of this version, so force fields are a lot more precious now. So we're going to go ahead and hide the build menu, and I'm going to unpause it by hitting P. And these guys are kind of hanging out. We're going to go through here into our householder. This is the Assault on Householder. So here we go. I'm going to follow through by holding Control and then clicking. So immediately there's fighting, but I can go ahead and just pause and then take a look around, see what I want to do, all that sort of thing. So we've got now, this is the galaxy map, what we can see of it at the moment. And so there's stuff to the north and stuff. North is this way. So coaster is north. That's what option 3 is there. It's being referred to. I don't want my edge scrolling on. I have that accidentally on. Please excuse our absolutely terrifying control menu here at the moment, because we've got a lot more to do with this. Well, you really have a lot more to do with that. It's because I've got the screen in a weird configuration. Oh well, I'll live. Anyway, so I could attack Coaster. I'm going to click into that. A lot of Mark 1 stuff. Not real threatening. You can get right on up on these guys. It's pretty nice. Why it's not giving me a tooltip, I don't know. Possibly because I don't have visibility on this planet, but it should still give me a tooltip. That's interesting. Maybe that's if that's a rule, then it shouldn't be. My stance on this is don't capture the planet, just attack it. That's what Keith has said thus far. So you can see here's a assault turret, and we've got various guardians and stuff around. The guardians are like what the guard posts were in AI War Classic, and so there's a force field generator. We're doing all new icons for this, getting rid of the concept of flare. That was an idea of mine that didn't really pan out, but it's good to try. And the intra-squad formations are something that we are going to be working on making those look a little better as well. So you can see these turrets are kind of stacked up. So there's little visual things here and there. Anyway, that's what's to the north. So if we wanted to go wimpy, then we'd go up there, which we could have gotten there from Xiphos, and Ori is what Keith was talking about. He took down here, if you've been reading at all, he took Ori and had a lot of trouble doing it. Xiphos was his original home planet, looks like. And not that your home planet really matters as much in this game, because I sent my Ark, which is my king unit, straight on through to Householder here. So my home command station, if you're thinking from AI War Classic, my home command station's traveling with my fleet. Stupid? Well, it's early in the game, so not entirely, but I'm at strong risk of getting myself killed. Now, I want to show you the explosions from flak turrets and flagships, and so there's some right here, and my gosh, they're stacked like crazy. That's hilarious. We got some missile turrets, and so let's see, Laubos. Actually, the flak is over here. And we got lightning over here, even better. I'm still not used to these icons because we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be replacing those with something a lot easier to read. As many months as it's been, none of us have ever gotten used to these icons. So I'm going to take the fun suicide route. So let's go. So I've got all these guys selected. I can give them orders while I'm paused, and we'll unpause and let things go. So I'm going to just have a nice look around at what's going on. We've got these cool effects now. I'm really pleased about when the shields get shot, you can actually tell. As ships die, they explode as well. Very fun. This may not seem like a big deal to you, but it's stuff that we weren't having previously. Oh boy. I told you this was a fun suicide route, didn't I? I meant it. All right, so I've brought my home command station along. Okay, this right here is the problem. See how these guys are different color? This is the Warden fleet. These guys come and I'm so dead. These guys come and guard other planets that belong to them. Now, I probably have already lost Xiphos. Nope, not quite. They're working on it. So I can run back to Xiphos. Now, in the meantime, I do have a looping set of stuff going. This Ark acts as my own command station here, and so it is cranking out ships. They're just getting killed really fast. No, go through. Too late. All right. Now you'll notice that the Warden fleet has left. They have no interest in following me from Householder. They're just hanging out over there. You see how quickly a lot of my fleet got replenished here with my stuff not being completely shot up immediately as soon as I'm anywhere. This is my starship constructor, incidentally, and it's making starships, which is why these guys kept coming back over here. So I've got a siege starship here. Boy, that thing looks awesome, doesn't it? Blue did such a fantastic job. And up the bloom on the engines, but that's about it. Look at that cannon on the front. And so we got the siege starship, and then we've got our shield starship here, and they are intact. The game is not paused at the moment, so you can see I'm getting quite a bit of metal up there. Fuel and power is a little bit low. Not gaining any science right now because I'm not on a planet that has it. My normally used to have science labs and so on, but now my ARC is able to fulfill that duty. And later, once they get flagships, which are Mark V starships that you have, you can only have like one of per type. That's a mechanic you'll run into later. They can act instead of your ARC. So let's try Coaster. I think that's the one. Yep. Let's go here. So Keith was predicting that I would have lost my planet here, which he's undoubtedly right if I had stayed on Householder. But I actually managed to live. That's not too bad. So we're going to go through on Coaster here and see what's going on here. Oh, the Warden fleet retreated over here. I was like, where did the Warden fleet go? The Warden fleet likes to wait a couple of hops away. And when you hear Warden, you should think like jail, basically. These guys only guard. That noise, by the way, that you're hearing there, that noise is the alarm that my ARC is taking damage. Now, if you lose your ARC, then you've lost the game. Now your ARC is acting kind of like engineers, kind of like a space dock, kind of like a lot of things all at once. But these guys are all protected by shields. Oh, crud. They're blocking the wormhole. Out of here. Okay, run to Householder. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Go, 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 go. I could potentially get around there. One thing to bear in mind about your ARC is that it's slow, which makes sense. We don't want you speeding. Think chess, right? Your king shouldn't be speeding around, getting away. We are going to make it so that there are different customizable options for things. But I just lost the game. You lose. Humanity has perished. You can't quite see all the text because it's really narrow. But and we're gonna hide the GUI behind there. All right, let's try this again. So let's quit the game. All right, back to the main menu here. So Test Combat 1 is the one that we've got going on. So he's saying the Warden fleet is on Laubos. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's 2 hops to get to Coaster if we go straight to Coaster. Now, the Warden fleet isn't going to know that we are headed to Coaster if we go to Coaster directly through our wormhole. If we go to Householder, the Warden fleet will come on over. We can't see anything on Laubos because we're not adjacent to it. We don't have anything scouting there. However, we can see what the strength is on that planet. the planet's owned by the AI Sentinels. So different. One of the things that's really different from the first AI war is that the AI is not a monolithic thing. Before we had the AI, two AIs, honestly, and then we had the minor factions. And that's not really the case at all anymore. The old AI had like subgroups that had special subroutines, like we had the special forces, which kind of morphed into what the Warden fleet is now, and we had like the threat fleet, which is kind of like I think it's called the hunter fleet or something like that now. Those are not separate. Those are not just separate like styles of AI anymore. Those are literally separate kind of sub factions, if you will. So they have their own resources. They have a whole bunch of things. And they work together. It's very interesting. You actually read in the release notes how all that stuff works. All right, so here we go. Laubo, or Coaster rather, and we're going to go ahead and pause real quick. Oh wait. What's going on here? This is the Warden fleet. Keith, you tricked me. You said they'd come from the Laubos side. God, and the Hunter fleet's over here too. So you can see there's three kind of factions. They're all the AI. If you're thinking AI War 1, they're all the AI. The Warden fleet, they're not going to leave their area. They're here for defense. They're usually going to hang out away from where I am, enough so that I don't kind of see where they're coming. Yeah, forget that. I'm leaving. Goodbye. The Hunter fleet, however, has the opposite goal, which is to come murder me. Come on. You guys, seriously, go. What's wrong? You're dying. You're dead. All right, well, whatever. Make another one just like you. I can't tell Bill Cosby jokes anymore. Such a bummer. For so many reasons. I'm not getting into that. Why did I even say anything about Bill Cosby? All right, so we're gonna. Okay. Look at this. Maybe they were on Laubos originally, and they moved while I was moving around here. Because look, they're all headed to Householder now. Oh, and I can't see there anymore now because I moved from Xiphos to Ori. And so these both go to Laubos. So wait, here we go. That was a bug. Shouldn't have had two wormholes there. Yeah, we still have kinks we're working out. So I can see Laubos now because I'm adjacent to it, and now I'm on it. Let's see what we get here. What is this thing? Plasma Guardian. Did he implement the plasma effect they did? Nah, not yet. I put a neat effect in for that, but this is a gravity generator over there. Force field, as you can see. More Plasma Guardians. Those things are strong against shields. Got a bunch of MLRSs. A lot of the shots are not too exciting. So here comes the Warden fleet from Householder. No real surprise there. You can see how they're flooding out of that over to here. That's their overall strength. You can see how many squads they've got, how many ships. This is my strength, but you get the idea with theirs too. Same sort of general deal. One of the cool things about how these ships explode, I'm just going to brag for a second, but there's no particle effects there. It looks like particle effects, but instead of having particles, which really slow down the simulation, those are actually vertices, in other words, triangles, polygons, from the ships themselves getting offset and going through some animations. It's all on your GPU. So it doesn't matter what your CPU is like. That doesn't get in the way of anything. Run, 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 run. So the Warden fleet's doing its job pretty darn well. What's going on out here? Oh, the Hunter fleet's doing its job well too. So, yeah. So I might live. This particular arc type, this is called Arc 1. This is kind of my original concept for the arc, more or less. I think Keith had a lot to say about it too, and then Blue actually executed it. So there's only so much credit I can take for that. But at any rate, this is our original. We have so far. Hey, go in, seriously, all of you, now. Don't get distracted fighting. So Ark is busy healing them. Okay. Whoa! Oh shoot! There were some Hunter Fleet guys over there. Apparently, I still have a Starship Constructor. That's a nice surprise. I won't for long at this rate. Oh, I don't anymore. It's now under construction. It's rebuilding automatically. I've got the controller here, which sets some standing orders. So you can see I don't have a Starship Constructor anymore, but it's working on building one automatically for me because Keith told it to do that, apparently. So there's a lot of conveniences in here. All right, so the Hunter fleet is making a quick retreat because they know that they're outnumbered big time. Why these guys aren't moving, I'm not sure. They look like they're stunned. They've got the little red Roman numeral, which typically means that they've had their engines shot out, but I'm not sure by what. So, kill. So that's not really much in the way of revenge, but at any rate, so I was talking about the arcs. This is the first one, but I'm going to show you one more. So this is the full galaxy map, a full galaxy map. Here's another one. These are in the cluster style. Can choose a variety of different styles. Okay, here's asteroid belt. Some of these were created by modders and stuff forth already. Pretty much all of the. Woo boy, this one is busy. Swirl. Wow, that's kind of cool. It's overwhelming to look at like this, but you know, it's usually going to be zoomed in more, and you can choose which your starting planet's going to be. One thing that you'll like is that you don't have to have like a starting ship or whatever chosen based off of where your starting planet is. So a lot of those annoyances that we had in the first game don't exist now, which is nice. So let's get a nice octopus in here. Ooh, Wolfram. I like that name. So let's start there. So we can see here in the factions, you've got, you can set the same color if you wanted to for like the Warden fleet and the Hunter fleet and so on. You can even turn those guys off if you really want to. The AI Sentinels is the normal AI. Actually, I guess maybe you cannot turn these guys off. They're just there. You can set the difficulties and so forth on them individually. And you can set their, these are basically like the AI types. So you'll recognize a lot of these like Shield Ninny and stuff like that from the first game. vanilla's pretty interesting as it goes. And then you got all these other settings like the difficulty and wave warnings, cross-planet waves, start waves, direct waves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you got these things. You got difficulty for the Warden and Hunter fleet specifically. And there's other little sub options for those as well. There's even like sub options for the map types in a lot of ways there, but it's not quite as overwhelming feeling as the first game, even though it's ugly right now. But you know, start with units queued up. I'm going to turn that on. Ooh, I like this background here too. The arc I'm going to use is the Rorqual Hegira, and this is an arc that was created by a player, a backer, one of our big backers who designed this one and worked with Blue, and we got it all painted and all created up. And it's an interesting one because right now the stats are the same as the base arc. And I've been of a couple of minds about this. This is something that players have brought up as well. We want to have personality to the individual arcs, and it would be kind of cool to like, okay, this is basically the idea of the backer here is that this was the arc that the Sedians, I don't know how you even say it, but dolphins and whales escaped from Earth on, and so they're like, so long, I guess, and we don't really give whales fish, but anyway, maybe the dolphins thanked us for fish. But anyway, they beat a hasty retreat, and so this was the whales, not the humans, and their starship. So it seems like it should have its own personality, and it's really tempting to bake that in so that if you play with it looking like this, that it plays a certain way. But we may not actually do that because there's a whole other bunch of people who are like, I want something that looks like that has this cool style to it, but I want it to control some other way. And I think that's pretty valid too. We're definitely going to have options on like how exactly these things control, but whether that's baked into the individual ships so they have a really distinct personality, or whether that's something that is more, another option that you choose at the start. We'll see. So we've got the build menu and stuff. Oopsies. Show build menu. It's already running and looping. Oh, it's just building those. All right. So okay, that's why. It's just building those because of, All right. Hide build menu. I'm wanting to show you some flak and some lightning and stuff. The effects are cool. By the way, the audio is positional, so when I zoomed way out, the audio cut out there, not because of some sort of bug, but because I wasn't close to it. You can hear, I think this is recording in stereo through Bandicam, but you can hear over here the shots hitting. You can hear over there the shots, my ship's exploding. This is a science capture spot. This is not real graphics. It's just it's basically going to be like an alien Hulk, but that's one of the ones that we haven't put in there yet. Wow, they've got a lot of shields over here. What else you got over here? Needlers. Flak. All right. Can we live over to there? We're sure going to try. Go whales, go. It's an interesting kind of ripple that we've got on here. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm tempted to call that Z fighting. May need to bake that down to one mesh. I think that's what's going on right now, is some Z fighting. Whoa. And you can see, the squads and stuff that I have. And I'm just using the 3 basic triangle ships right now, nothing fancy. What are you? MLRS, yeah. All right, so the flak is around the side. We got missile, needlers. Oh, I should assign these to a control group. That would help. I mean, the Unity editor still won't let me do it. Flak me. There we go. There's some flak shots. You kind of notice when they start coming in, and it's like, yeah, rather not have those. You can tell which force fields are being hit at any given point. So you can see sometimes we're hitting that one, sometimes we're hitting that one. Keith has noted that the order in which force fields are hit is something we're going to need to. There's a bunch of logic about that in the first AI war, and it's something we're going to need to do more with again. But normally having huge numbers of stacked force fields is not something I think is all that conducive to fun. So, my. Oh, I'm metal starved now. Do I even have a planet anymore? I bet I don't. Oh, wait. Okay. Here's Wolfram. I do have metal income, just not much. There's my starship constructor, and there's my space, or my I don't need a separate space dock on this planet. I do now, my guess here, but here's my controller anyway. With that sound effect, I wanted to make it so that you really know, and it's unpleasant, but it's not like grating. You know what I mean? I think it was Badger's idea. I don't remember. Maybe it was somebody else, but who had the idea to make it so that it's all team colored on the wormhole names, so you can tell, that's me right there, if I didn't remember that my planet was Wolfram. So I'm cranking up the speed on this now. Some run, fly, you fools. I'm going to pause that, and then just because I can't necessarily control this real easily from what ships I run into there, I just want to show off some of the little graphical things here real quick, and then I'll leave you be for the evening. But okay, so this is my sizer that I use to help me judge how big things need to be. So you've seen the flak explosions already, but this is basically what they do. And it's kind of cool because you can see there are a 5-element piece that comes in. These are not particle based either. These are completely based on meshes. And so, okay, so we've got 44 batches right now. Let's do this. We wind up with like more than I would expect. Instancing is on. I'm not sure why we have quite that many instances, but at any rate, it's still not much. It's vastly more efficient than Shuriken with the Unity particle system, which that's not really hard, but that's mean. But yeah, so we've got the plasma ones here, which these are the big shield killers that hit at the end. And then got a couple of lightning explosion ones. These I'm particularly pleased with. Oh, there we go. And so those are things that I designed out initially, and that then they have a certain shape to them, and then they get kind of rotated. And those are a couple of thousand poly meshes that I created. And you actually see, so it looks like that. And so, yeah, that's like 1700, and there's a few others. Then for the Lightning Guardians that are more powerful, it's got a little 3-part one, and it's slightly different color. So there's the second 2 parts happen in very quick succession. But the idea is that with this, you have a sense of lightning and stuff happening. But despite all of that going on, it didn't take a particle system to do it. And so let's see, we got 38 batches at the moment. At the most, we got up to 41. And those things, oh, that's right. The reason those are going up in batches is because different ones of the explosions within there are using different meshes. So they don't batch within one thing, but if I had like 10 lightning things going off at once, then they would batch. So we'd only go up by 4, whether there's 1 lightning thing or 10 going off at the time. And so that's really nice because you get that cool efficiency. But yeah, so we still have plenty of stuff to do, obviously, but at the same time, we've made a lot of strides, and you actually have proper visual feedback in the game. A lot of that is thanks. Got to really thank Pepe Solo and Golden Wolf for helping out with actually integrating all the awesome art that Blue has done, and a lot of that has been done for a long time, but not actually integrated in the game. We're repainting all the art in this cool PBR style, kind of like what you're seeing here, where it's got full metallicness and all that sort of thing on it. Certain parts look more grungy or dirty or whatever, as well as having the kind of cell shaded look under it. So it's kind of that hybrid look to it. And I did bring back Bloom, yes, but it's kind of a more Blade Runner-y type Bloom rather than more of a Star Wars, Star Trek 2009 Bloom. So I'm happy about that as well. I really liked the look of the new Blade Runner and the original too, for that matter. But but definitely the biggest thanks at the moment goes out to Badger, who not only has been, modding the game for quite some time, but we've brought him in as another more extensive volunteer, and he's been helping clean up some of the mess that I've left in the visualization code, and he's been absolutely instrumental in making it so that we could get all the things you're seeing here in version 0.7 done. He's freed up Keith and I to work on other things. He's figured out some really nasty bugs, and we've been able to get things performing better, looking more correct, because we have an underlying simulation that runs on a separate thread, bunch of separate threads, and then we have the visual layer, which has its own kind of representation of reality, and it's got to kind of sync up with the other threads. and it runs at a much higher frame rate, and it's a really cool system. It really lets you get full power out of all the cores of your PC, which is rare. And it also lets you not have your frame rate be locked to how fast the simulation is running, which again is, it used to be very rare. There's some of the big AAA RTS games are doing that now, but it's still pretty darn rare. I'm really proud of the system that we've got here, and it's a juggernaut of a thing. It can be modded out the wazoo. This whole thing with campaigns and so forth, before Badger was even on the volunteer development team, just as a modder, he added this in, and we were like, sure, that's awesome, thanks. Can we, he was like, here, take this if you want it for the game. I've made this mod. And we're like, cool, that is better than what's in the game. We'll absolutely take the mod and put this into the game. Thank you, and obviously he's credited for it and all that sort of thing. But it's a really neat thing because it's very open, and anybody can go in and mess with ships, make new ships. All that stuff is just in XML, and then there's various other stuff you can do with just C# and XML. If you want to get into actually putting in new graphics and things, you can do that with just the Unity editor and probably some XML. But it's real straightforward as far as modding games go. You're not having to reverse engineer DLLs, have some, arcane tool set or something that, you download from suspicious third-party site, anything like that. So tried to make it real open. That's been a focus for us. So I'm really pleased with how that's coming along. And at this point, we're now focused on making it pretty, making it balanced, making it finished feeling, making it so that you have all the information at your fingertips. Part of making it quote unquote pretty is about making it so that it's clear and you have information feedback. And as part of making it pretty, we also want to make sure that we keep the performance that we have. A lot of times it's running at 100 plus frames a second on my machine, and we want it to have better performance than it does now in some of the truly large battles. Some of that is due to a limitation in the current version of Unity that we're using, which is 2017.1. We're going to upgrade this to 2017.3 before too long, and that has some new features that will massively increase, knock on wood, should massively increase the performance in an area that is currently suffering. And if it doesn't, I have some other tricks up my sleeve that I can do if I have to. I really hope they don't force me into that, but because it's be kind of a waste of my time for something that's a slow down their own systems. But I cross that bridge when we get to it, if we get to it. Yeah. So we'd love to have your thoughts and your testing, and we're going to make an even bigger call for testers and for modders, and anybody else who wants to help out. Coming up in a few weeks, we'll have a much more accessible GUI than this. For one thing, much better HUD that's both more attractive and a little more communicative. Thus far, there's been a big focus on getting things arranged in a way that's sensible and that functions in a way that is sensible. And it's a mix of some of the things that we tried and some of the things that were better and classic. And that goes for both some of the ideas that Keith had for ways to push things forward and some of the ideas that I had for ways to push things forward. Some of those worked out, some of them didn't. And where people were saying, we really preferred it the way it used to be, we listened to that and went back. And then there's a number of other places that it really pushes the envelope forward. As far as the prettiness factor, I think one of the things that hopefully was demonstrated tonight is that even in what were pretty small battles here, the way that the ships are, even with not having much in the way of shot variety and stuff, and I was just using the 3 triangle ships. That was it. The fighter, the missile corvette, and the bomber. That was it. I didn't have any like special ships. I when I was playing on Keith's save, I did have a couple of starships. That's it. With those things, the battle still felt substantial, which I thought was interesting because before a lot of the most recent visual and audio updates, mainly the visual ones, when we didn't have a lot of visual feedback, the battles felt small and the squads didn't feel like actual ships when a ship died in the squad. It just disappeared, or actually a lot of times there was a bug, it didn't even disappear. Thank you, Badger, for fixing that. But now those things actually disappear properly, and it's just, it feels like a much bigger battle really fast. And so I'm pleased that we have that sense of scale back, even in the early battles in the game. And obviously the battles can get even more nuts as time goes on. Right now, some of the performance is dropping down into the 30 and 40 frames a second realm in some of the bigger battles that I've been in. We used to have it hard locked to 20 frames a second, and we're classic, just as a point of reference. But I am not thrilled about it dropping to 30 or 40 frames a second on a big battle in on my machine. That's a CPU thing with Unity. It's not a graphics card thing, and it's not a simulation thing on our side. It's moving ships around causes a performance hit in the physics engine as Unity syncs up with PhysX for no good reason. And they put in a way for us to say, hey, maybe don't do that. And then it just syncs up with PhysX like 10 times a second instead of potentially a few 100,000 times a second. That's probably undercutting it. Let's say a couple of million times a second. That's probably more accurate in a battle that size. And so, 10 times, a couple of million times, which to choose? Yeah. So that's our biggest performance bottleneck right now. And just by going to Unity 27.3 and saying, hey, think 10 times a second only, that should be that. So, knock on wood. If something with that doesn't behave as advertised, then I have to get more creative. But their particle system was absolutely just bonkers, non-performant. And actually uploaded a video earlier today that showed a funny bug with the performance getting bad, and it showed, you know what, I can load up this one just to show you a bad performing one. Why not? Let's end on a note of bad performance. So here's a battle that is quite large. I'm the blue guys this time, I think. Whoa. No, I'm not. I'm on the wrong planet. Here we go. Xiphos again for some reason. Wait a second. Did I load the right thing? I did not. I loaded the wrong save. No wonder. Hey. Big Battle Midst. That's the one. Okay. And I'm on Ori. And yeah. So this thing has a lot going on, a lot more. This is a rather choppy 20 frames a second. The graphics are not the limiting factor here. Lots and lots of flak, lots of lightning. The thing that's causing this choppiness is the ships moving. I know it's ridiculous. By the way, you're not going to see this many shields in the game anymore, because a lot of good reasons, but it makes it so that the individual ships actually matter. You'll notice a lot of notes from Keith about the prevalence of force fields in the current version, in the current release notes. And those are with good reason, because we're kind of training players to be ridiculously overcautious, as well as making it so that your individual ships basically didn't die until they were out of fleet cover, and you're really tempted to always have just one big fleet ball and that sort of thing. So um um what a mess. It also is just such a visual clutter that I really don't care for that. So at any rate, poor Ark is trapped by some enemies, getting pushed by their shields. All my guys are getting pushed by their shields. But yeah, so this is a bad performing one, but it's running at it's not showing the full thing, but it's running like at about half speed. So basically the simulation is running a little bit slow, I think. And that's probably largely because my main I have 8 logical cores. I'm running on an i7, and my main core is pegged because of shifts moving of all the stupid things, and so that makes the underlying simulation run slower too. But the visual frame rate is not tied to the speed of the underlying simulation. The simulation could be running slow and the frame rate is great. The frame rate could be terrible for some reason, but the underlying simulation is running at full speed, which is actually really refreshing, because that way you can kind of get through a bad section without I'm going to lose, and so let's have a better view of the you lose text. You lose. Humanity has perished. So, and you can keep playing after this point too if you have something to keep playing with, just like in the first game. At any rate, I was saying something and I lost my train of thought. Oh, if you're playing multiplayer, somebody's graphics card isn't as good as everybody else's, and they're getting 20 frames a second during a heavy battle or something like that. They don't have to look away from the battle in order for everybody's simulation to keep up. And if the simulation's really bogged down because you've got something that's people do weird things with the game. That's a given. Somebody's going to make it so that there's like a million threat, and we literally had people with like 30 million threat in AOR Classic, and it was running at like 1 frame a 5 second, 1/5 a frame a second. And depending on where those things are located, it would be a lot more playable in this game, in a very loose sense of the word playable, because probably you'd be able to move around your mouse and stuff more, and scroll around the screen and all that, depending on how many ships are on the planet you're on, versus absolutely locking everything. So those two things being decoupled is really, really cool. We've got some lightning Corvettes here. Love the look on those. I think that those have not been updated to the new PBR style yet. The fighters have been. I love how those look. The bombers have been. You've seen those. Um, these guys are like, where do I park? Where's the parking in here? Valet. Yeah. Um, the shield guardians there. Valet, valet. Are these spiders? Yep, they sure are. And they are lost. Spiders, come back. Well, here's some other spiders. I love the glow on these guys. Blue just really outdid herself with a lot of the modeling on these. These guys, I don't think have been updated to the new PBR. Maybe they have. I honestly can't tell because a lot of her original stuff looks so good that, and the spiders are one of them, that it's hard to tell sometimes. On some of them, it was more obvious. They looked a lot more cell shaded or kind of Tronish or whatever. But yeah. It's also kind of funny because sometimes the minor factions wind up fighting each other. The somebody was talking about the Zenith Trader, I think, was coming by, and then Devourer came over and ate the Zenith Trader, and so some of that's intentional with the Devourer eating anybody and everybody else. I don't know if we want it eating the Trader, but it's kind of funny. And you get the Warden fleet capturing planets and stuff at the moment instead of the Sentinels having it. Not from the Sentinels, but they're like taking back a planet that the AI just lost, and then it belongs to them. And you're like, I'm not really sure if Keith plans to keep that particular aspect or not. One of the things that I really do like, though, with the way that the squad stuff worked out is that you got a ton of squads here, tons and tons of ships, and I think we can agree this is enough icons, maybe, but you can see this feels big, and that's fine. There's 551 squads here. Most of those squads have 10 or 20 ships. Maybe not most, but let's say half of them do. So that's like 2,500 ships plus another 250 for like the big single unit squads. So, so that's like 3,000 ships here. This looks like this feels in the neighborhood of 3,000 ships. In the first game, we had to cull icons all the time. Now we don't have to do that. It's really nice because instead, who are you fighting? Oh, I've got starships, starships that are showing up. This is one of the old ones that has not been updated yet, and this is one of the ones that I was pleased with the shape on, but I don't think Blue or I were happy with the actual visuals of it. Live and learn. It's like the flare on these icons. It's not. It was my idea, and it just didn't pan out. That's fine. Blue's been working on some great icons already. So, all right, I've talked your ear off at this point, and it's a cool game. I hope you come and play it soon. We're going to be prettying it up soon, but one of the things to remember is, I'm going to zoom out so that I'm not hearing the sounds so much. One of the things to remember is, if you've ever complained about how a game plays, you get a game and you're like, oh man, what was the developer thinking? I wish they had done it differently. Well, this is the sort of time period where you get to influence that, and where a lot of people are influencing that for this game. So if you want to have that sort of influence, we hope that you'll come on by. We have a number of people who are wanting to wait for more kind of quote unquote 1.0 state of the game, and we'll have that within a month or so. I don't know if you can hear, but it's suddenly raining cats and dogs right outside my window. But anyway, hopefully you'll stop on by during one of these periods. And we look forward to hearing from you and hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.